This is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of March 18th through the 22nd. I will also do a gap recap within this video. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is NIO. We ended the week at $5.58. To the north side is resistance and a potential take profit area at 562. Above that, 572. And at 4 standard deviations and another level of resistance, 581. To the south side, back at the middle of the trend and the baseline, 544, 525, 516, and 506. Now for your gap recap. For this past week, from the 11th through the 15th, this gap opened up. We gapped up, so anticipate a gap down. And we closed out with this one on Wednesday. This gap here was created when we gapped down, so I will anticipate a gap up to the north side. And right now, we are not in the channel for it to close out, but something to be aware of to the upside. And that will take us to 584, closing out at 591. So that's a new opportunity for this upcoming week, the 18th through the 22nd. Now this gap that I've been tracking for quite some time, still in play. And if we continue to go south, because we are in a downward channel, that could possibly start touching on Tuesday. Now for the gaps to the north side, which we are not in the zone, not in the channel. The next one that I will be tracking takes us to 716. On to SOFI. We ended the week at 703. To the north side, 705, 713, and 720 are some targets to look out for on Monday on the 5-minute time frame. To the south side, middle of the trend, 689, 674, 666, and 658. As far as the gap recap, this gap opened up. We gapped down, so whenever we turn around, I will anticipate a gap to fill to the north side. And that will take us to roughly 737. And the gap that I have been tracking for quite some time will take us to 857. There are other gaps to the north side, but because we're not even there, there's no point in talking about it. But these gaps are some of the original gaps that I talked about and will continue to track. Oops. And to the south side, I think that is it. But right now, as you can see, unfortunately, SOFI in a downward trajectory here. Downward channel. Next one is RIVN. We ended the week at 1104, up 3.27%. To the north side, 1117, 1174, and 1179. To the south side, back at the middle of the trend and the baseline, 1055, 991, 961, and another level of support and another potential buy-in area, 929. Looking left for your gap recap, this gap is still in play to the downside, but unfortunately we are not in the channel, not in the zone, because we are going down and away from this level. And this gap opened up last week. That will take us to 1167. And this gap, we gapped up, so I will anticipate a gap down and close out at 1071. It opens up at roughly 1094. That's very doable to close out. And if we do, and we touch this line, I will anticipate a bounce as people buy the dip. And if we continue to go down, I will still anticipate a dip buy and another dip buy down here. Next up is TSLY. I'm in this trade for myself and for my mom. Unfortunately, I'm on the downside of this. Trade here. Oops, let me fix something. This is so crazy. All right. I did something too quickly and one of my lines disappeared. So I will put it back and I will change this one. That's the thing I don't like about TradingView. And I tend to move quickly and hit wrong things, or maybe this thing is too sensitive and it erases my lines. All right. Back to TSLY here. To the north side, 1513 and 1534. To the south side, back at the middle of the trend, 1454, 1411, 1390, and 1370. All right. As far as the gap recap for the past week, which will play into this week, we have this gap not in the channel, not in the zone. We've got this one that takes us to roughly 1785, and then this gap within the gap, but I'll just do the bigger one here. A lot of gaps to the upside because, as you know, TSLY has gone down overall, lower lows. And so these are the gaps I have already been tracking. And this gap, we gap down, so I will anticipate a gap up. That's a new one that will now be carried into next week. And I will mark that out. There. Pfizer is the next one. I'll give you some price targets first. We are basically at the middle of the trend to the north side. Resistance, 2840, 2861, and 2883. Ignore the pink line. That's my previous buy-in area. My buys are in the pink. My green lines are my sell areas. 2756, 2735, and 2714. Now for the gap recap, this is a gap I am tracking to the upside that will take us to 3034. We're not in the channel, not in the zone yet. This is a previous sell order of mine, I think. I'll have to go back and look. And this gap opened up this week on Wednesday. Closed out on Wednesday as well. Or Thursday, excuse me. And this one is a new gap as well. That will take us to 2731. I might as well just mark this while I'm here. And then this gap opened up from the week of March 4th through the 8th, still in play. So that will haunt us to the downside. And this is at 2682, 2610, and that's it. Oh, let me extend this. Oh, well, yeah, we'll just keep that right there. The next one, Exelon, downward channel. Let me give you some price targets first. To the north side, resistance 3673, 3691, 3708. Support 3638, 3604, 3587, and 3570. And note the sell-off here at resistance, resistance, close to resistance, 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 and then the buy-in along this line, which represents support. Now, for your gap and go, your gap recap, this one is still in play, taking us to 3790. Okay, this gap closed out a couple weeks ago, so that's done. But this one will still haunt us to the downside. If we continue to go south, we could touch this maybe Wednesday, if it's a slow progression downward. And that is it for the gaps to the downside that I'm tracking. Now for Intel. Here are your price targets. Resistance 42.91, 43.32, and 43.72. Ignore the pink line. Again, that's one of my buy-in areas. I don't know if I still have that, but I have to check that out. See if I traded it or not. But on this time frame, you can't tell. But when I go out and go to the larger time frames, you can see. 42.11, ignore the lines here. Those are support and resistance from previous times I've tracked this. 41.31, 40.90, and 40.51. Looking left. For your gap recap part of this video, we've got many gaps to the upside to fill. We're not there, not in the channel. As you can see, so many stocks are going down right now on the 5-minute time frame. 50.18, and this one takes us to 49.50, still in play. This gap opened up, so this is a new one that I will be tracking as I make my way up whenever we should turn around. It could be a long time, who knows? But the potential is there, so I like to think on the positive side. But if you like to go and short your stocks, there are plenty of opportunities if you just look for them. This one closed out on Thursday. I've been tracking this gap since March 1st. Yay, so this, oh no, look at this. Nope, I take that back. This closed already way back here. I didn't notice it when I was doing my video. So that closed on Tuesday and opened up on Friday the 1st. So that's done. Let me delete that. Clean up the chart. And oh, wait a minute. Command Z, Z, Z. What the heck? There we go. What I meant to do was delete just this one, not the box, because I like to keep track of the gaps that filled. So this one gapped up, and it did not close that week that it opened up. And look at this, it closed right here on March 13th, so last week. Okay, and then this one extended from several weeks ago. And we have not touched, so I will anticipate this one to close out, maybe even on Monday, if we continue to go down. Yeah, that's a possibility. And then if we do, this turns into, on the way down, this is a level of support. So watch out for that as people buy the dip off of those levels. And then obviously check your RSI as well, your MACD, whatever else you like to use for your indicators. All right, and the next one, Altria Group. This one gapped up. We went down, so I tracked it to go up, and guess what? Finally, finally, we closed out. I can be done talking about Altria Group, and I did want to trade this for my mom, but I never got into it, and I should have because I've been tracking this for so long, and it did what I thought it would do. It took a while, as many stocks do, but we closed here out of the gate on Monday. Right here, we touched. Actually, did we touch that on Friday? Yeah, that was Monday. Right here, Monday. We touched right out of the get-go. We gapped up. So that's done. It started at 41.35. How long have I been tracking this? Let me flip this to the 15 minutes to see. I have been tracking this gap with so many plays to the upside and the downside since December 20th of 2023. That's how long it took this thing to finally close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've been tracking this for 12 weeks, but look at all the plays that you could have had to the upside and again to the downside. So this is done. 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 All right. So that's it for that. Option R to see, look at that. I moved so quickly that one of my linear regression channels disappeared. So here we go again. If anybody knows of a better trading platform, please let me know. All right. So the next one, I will be, oh, this gap, by the way, is still going to haunt us to the downside. And I will no longer be tracking this because I don't track it to the downside. So if you like to go short, that will come back to haunt you whenever we reverse to the downside. And that could be a while. I don't know why I have two dates here. Oh, I was just tracking price on this one. All right. So this will be removed off of my gap and go trades and be replaced by something else, which I'll tell you at the end of this video here, because I'll go over it. The next one is Schlumberger. Now look at this. Well, first, let me go over price with you. The targets for, what the heck? Why does that keep disappearing? Drives me bonkers. Let's change the color. Pick the color you like. And then I'm going to hit save as default, but it doesn't always save it. This thing is so wonky. All right, now for your price targets for Monday on the 5-minute time frame. Resistance 53.33, 54.18, 54.60, 55.01, 52.50, 52.08, and 51.65. All right, now for the gap recap portion of this video. This gap is still in play, taking us down to 48.42. And this gap, which I never extended, but basically from the last week, it touched right there, so finally closed out on March 13th, and this gap has been in play that I've been tracking since January 30th. So that is done. I will erase the price targets there. All right, so the next gap, the next opportunity to the upside will take us to 56.39. And above that, I think that's the last one I will be tracking. Oh my goodness, look at that. I've been tracking it for so long. Since, look at this, November 23rd for that gap. Can't wait to be done talking about it. I'd like to show off some different trades, but I keep at it until it closes. So this tends to repeat itself week after week after week. But if you're a new trader, you can go back and look at my video and see how I trade this. All right, to the upside, now I've got myself on 56.39 to this gap, as I mentioned. Okay, and BABA is the next one. This one looks like a hot mess. Many opportunities to trade, but it's scary trades. Makes your heart beat fast with this one because it whips you all over the place. Right, we ended the day at 73.42 to the north side, 75.10, 77.83, 79.18, and 80.54 to the south side. We'll complete this gap that opened up at, that gap is at 72.57, but the target is 72.37, 70.93, 69.60. Now for your gap recap. This gap is still in play that I've been tracking, taking us down to roughly 68.60. This gap's still in play, so a lot of landmines to the south side, but look at this, the slow upward channel. So that's good. Finally, I'm in this trade and it drives me batty. All right, so this gap, it did close out. At the beginning of the week, I just extended all the way to the end, and I never know if it's going to close up. And so when I pulled this all the way, it actually gapped and filled right here. So that is done to the upside at 74.57. This is an opportunity. I see it as that to the upside. This opened up last week, taking us to 76.36. Okay, here we go for these different gaps. This one takes us to roughly 78.09. This one to 77.70. It looks very confusing, I know, but I know exactly what gap is what. And this one takes us to 78.51. The 1 year price target, 104.88. Let's let it ride. All right, and I think that's the last one. Look at that. Look at all the lines that I've been tracking. And then this thing made its way all the way down and beat us up royally. Okay, the next one is Nike. Basically at the middle of the trend. The next target I'm looking for is 103.15, 104.82, and I do not ever anticipate a stock to go to 4 standard deviations in one day. That's 106.41. If we are down here, there's basically no way unless there's some sort of a squeeze, and don't bank on that. But from here to go all the way up here, I don't anticipate it. I mean, we could go definitely to 2, definitely to 3, but hitting that all the way, I never count on it. To the south side, 96.49, 94.89, 93.25, and as far as the gaps from this week, there's really nothing here to discuss, thank goodness. So the target that I have been eyeballing right here, takes us to 122.40. Yeah, Nike got beat up royally as well. You go woke, you go broke. People got mad at this company. They just need to stick to the business, the core business, and reward the shareholders. All right, the next one. 172, let me move this. 172.62 is where we ended to the north side. 175.72, 178.41, 181.15 to the south side, back at the middle of the trend, 170.21-ish, 164.84, 162.20, 162.08, and 159.30. If we hit these targets, which we're not in the channel, not in the zone to get this low, it will close out this gap. And this one. This gap will take us down to 160.30. Now, for the gaps to the upside, whenever we should reverse. So this gap did not close out, got close, but no cigar. 175.01. This one will take us to 179.61, and then up here, not in the channel, not even in the zone, not even close, 186.89. Not for next week anyway. We are going down, baby. All right, Boeing. This is a nightmare too. Yeah, the president or CEO needs to get fired, as well as middle management, and they need to clean house. This should not be happening. It's terrible what's happening. They're going to get sued royally. And guess who's going to win? Airbus. People are holding off on their deliveries. I mean, this is just a nightmare. I was up so much. I believed in this company. I should have sold out when I had an opportunity and made a lot of money for my mom. And now, not that I'm back to square one, because I did buy this even lower than where we are at one point, but the next opportunity for this to cycle back up, which is going to be a long time, I will get out. I am no longer going to hold this one. This is just going to be a buy and sell. Okay, am I done with my rant? Maybe. That's what happens when you track these stocks for so long. Okay, 189.13, 193.27, and 197, just like Apple though too. Oh, did I blaze through Apple? Wait, I think I skipped it. I'm gonna go back to it in a second. So this is Boeing, 181.41, 173.42, 169.52, and 165.46. All right, for your gap recap, this gap finally closed out to the downside, no longer a threat. Closed at 186.90. Of course it closed because we went down, right? So, but at least we ripped off the Band-Aid, we're done with this, and we can move forward. So all of these will be gone, but there will be other ones, but I could not find any new gaps, not new, but old gaps to talk about. So basically when this goes down, it's just because of everything that's happened, not that there is a gap fill. There's no pull for that. Now to the upside, which I shouldn't even talk about, but I need to move this over. I track price for myself too. So the next opportunity to the upside is this one. $192.24. This gap, a new opportunity, should we ever correct, takes us to, oops. Okay, 196.01, not in the channel, not in the zone. 198.51, and then all these other babies, which I'm not going to talk about, but just know that they exist. Now, I didn't, for whatever reason, I blazed through Apple, and this is my favorite stock, but I hate to say this, but I think Tim Cook needs to go as well. So many lawsuits during his tenure, so many problems. He bailed on the car, $30 billion investment, time for new management. There are plenty of excellent people that can take over. Okay, 172.61. It's like my board, my HOA board. They need to go. Board members don't need to stay on the board and linger and regress and stay 10 and 22 years. It's just wrong. We need term limits. Okay, the next one that I will be tracking, well, first, right here, 175.65, 178.38, and 181.19. And if we go up, we will close out these gaps. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we kind of reverse to the upside. Now, to the south side, middle of the trend, 170.32, 164.88, 162.13, and 159.45. These gaps are still in play. And this one could close out this week if we continue to go. Oh, this is the 15-minute time frame. Oh, gosh. I don't know what happened. I flipped it over. Oh, I flipped it over for the other one. So when you go back and listen to the audio, it's the 15-minute time frame and the 5-minute time frame, okay? But we are not in the channel for this. That will take us down to 160.38. If you play on the different time frames, it gives you different buy and sell signals. So keep that in mind if you are new to trading. So if you like to buy and invest and hold long term, I like to go to the monthly time frame. But look at all these gaps to the upside once we close out. All right. And now for the gap replacement trade, because I will be removing Altria Group, and that will be Palantir, which I know many of you are in. I'm in this trade as well. So Palantir, let me sort this. I like to do the cheapest price for the stock first. So Palantir right here, 23.49 is where we ended. Now here are your levels. To the north side, middle of the trend, 23.73. 24.36 closes out this gap that presented itself last week. We gapped down, so I anticipate a gap up. 24.83, 24.72, and 25.04. That is the only gap I am tracking. So hopefully, I don't know if we're going to do it. We could. This is in our channel, but it's still going down. So if we don't do this right on Monday and we go down, it's going to take a while to close out, I think. Of course, this is all my personal opinion. Trade your own book. And this is all technical analysis. This is not fundamental analysis. You need to do your own research on that. This is just for fun because I like to do this. All right. 23.10. This gap forms to the south side, 23.07. Closing out at roughly 22.79 and 22.44. And that is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of, what is that? The 18th through the 22nd. And your gap recap as well for the week of March 11th through the 15th. I also just recently made a video on some cannabis stocks, High Tide, MSOS, and Sundial, so check that out as well. And I hope you have a fantastic and profitable trading week.